All right. Hello, everyone. We are joined by the very lovely Lynn Gilmartin. It's not one word on Instagram, confusing, but we have Lynn here over in Australia. Lynn, thanks for being here. I know it's late at night there, so thank you.
Thank you for having me. It's actually not too bad. It's 8 o'clock, and because it's summertime, the sun hasn't set yet. So.
Oh, wow. That is okay.
Yeah.
I do see the light in the background. So, okay, guys, I want to make a quick disclaimer. We have both. She's in Australia. She doesn't have the best internet. I'm in the UK. We don't have the most amazing connection. There's a chance it's a bit choppy. So in advance, apologize if that's the case, but we're going to go ahead and push through, see if we can get this done. So, Lynn, I've known you for many years. I know you've been in poker since, I believe, 2009, roughly, maybe even before, but give background about how you got into the industry. I know you got started, I believe, with Crown, which is the largest casino in Australia, in Melbourne. But please give us a little bit of background on you, growing up, and then how you got started in this industry.
Sure. So I grew up in Melbourne, Australia, and I studied marketing at college. And my first job out of uni happened to be at the casino. And I knew nothing about poker, but when I was working at the casino, that was the fun department. When I was making brochures and stuff for all the other table games, it wasn't quite the sporting atmosphere as poker had. So I wanted to work over there. And that's how I didn't really know about the game. It was just the fun zone. And I started working in poker back then, which is like 2007. And and back then online content was very new. That wasn't really a thing that anyone did. And we would have celebrity events in the poker room at the time. And my boss wanted to start a YouTube channel, but no one understood what online content really meant. So it was really hard for her to get the budget approval. And so she was like, okay, Lynn, you're the marketing assistant. You just interview the celebrities. And, I just had this microphone and I'm interviewing these players in the poker room. And it was just so much fun. And I loved doing that. And that's sort of how it all started. It was just completely out of nowhere and left of field. And that was like 2007 or something. And then in 2009, I quit that job and flew to Las Vegas for the WSOP for my first time in the United States, working with Poker News. And
let me backtrack you a bit. How did you get those specifically? What brought you to the Crown? You're doing stuff what made you go to a casino per se? Like, well, how did that come up?
So when I was graduating college, I've always worked in events and stuff. I worked at the Australian Open at the tennis in marketing while I was at college. It was my summer job, and the Grand Prix and lots of big Melbourne events. And so I've always sort of been around that world. And so through a friend of a friend, it's not a glamorous story at all. A guy was looking, he had a job going for a marketing assistant. It happened to be when I was graduating college. It was just very lucky timing. Went for the interview, got the job. So it's not like I had this, laser focus towards getting into the casino industry. It was just an opportunity that came up and I was ready for it and I took it. And now it's my world.
Was that, had you gambled before? Had you ever been to casinos? Did it interest you at all, or literally completely random? Did you know how to play roulette, blackjack? Did you know the rules of poker, anything? Or were you just like, oh, I'm at Crown and learning this is craps, this is roulette, this is how poker works? What was your knowledge of gaming?
Yeah, I really didn't know much at all because, I was young and I loved the glamour of the casinos, but that's about it. I went to them for their nightclubs and their restaurants, but I very rarely ended up on the gaming floor. Yeah.
So you had been there. I mean, you've been to the Crown at that point and stuff. I mean, it's a big place there, right? I mean, so you've been inside, and there's a lot going on there. So that's cool. Okay. All right. Got it. So now you're there, you're doing that. And then all of a sudden, a couple of years later, I believe 2009. That's right. When you got hooked up with Poker News first and then Vegas, or you went to Vegas and then got going with Poker News?
That's right. Well, yeah. So Poker News used to come out. Well, yeah, they would come out for our big events. And, my job was to take care of Media Row and set them up with their internet and their workstations and things. So I got to know the reporters when I was there in marketing, and they saw that I was doing these videos and that I, had an understanding of the industry. And at the time they needed a host for the Asia Pacific region. So I put my hand up for it and the opportunity was there, and it was the biggest, scariest choice, like, risk that I've really ever taken, because I had this, really secure corporate career. It was right after the global financial crisis. There's all these stories, about how hard it is to get a job, and I'm climbing this corporate ladder. I had just gotten a promotion, and everything looked so great on paper, but I just loved this idea of performing. I mean, I didn't mention, but as a kid, it's all I ever did. I was an actor. I was a dancer. I just loved performing. And once I hit high school, then I was like, I've got to go to college, and kind of shoved all that aside to get a real job. And this was suddenly resurrecting that old dream. When I just was like, oh, this brings back that light I used to have as a kid. And so the idea of just getting out of the corporate hamster wheel and hopping over on to some scary flight to the United States was terrifying, but so exciting. And I'm so proud of myself that I did it at like 23 years old.
That's awesome. Yeah, it's fun. Sometimes you just got to take some risk, take a chance, for sure. And it is right now. I guess it's at nighttime in Australia. It is 4 a.m. East Coast time, 1 a.m. West Coast in the U.S. So it's definitely not our normal hours, but I'm happy that we found a time zone that worked. And this is going to be recorded as well as it's live. Some people are joining in, but we'll have this on all the outlets. And before I want to just cover this, we'll talk maybe at the very end as well. Could you give us a little just update on what's going on in Australia with the fires? And then we have it looks like you've created a fun GoFundMe page, or well, it's not a GoFundMe, it's a charity link. It looks to be a Facebook. I'm showing it here on screen, and it looks like there's a goal of 34,000. It's already at 30,000 in 5 days. It's raised a tremendous amount of money. Why is the reason is 34? What is that? Is that just is that a number? How did that number come up as a goal? That specifically that number.
Well, it sounds so random when it's converted into US dollars, but it's actually 50,000 Australian. And it sounds much more impressive in Australian dollars. The US dollar goes really far down here. So just keep that in mind. If anyone is hesitating about donating, your what you might think is a small donation is a lot in Aussie dollars.
Okay, well, that makes sense. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so the goal
it looks like you're almost there. You've raised a bunch already, and so pretty. It's a lot. It's right. It's great to see the support from the community and everything. It's great. I actually have not donated yet. I will donate today afterward. I've seen different links and things, but this is the place. This is the spot to. This is the best one, or this is definitely one that goes in the right place. I should say you vetted it, and this is gonna go do the right thing.
Absolutely. So just for those who don't know what's happening, Australia at the moment is just covered in bushfires. We have. Fires are our big natural disaster that we have every year down here in the summer, but this is beyond anything we've ever seen, like tenfold. It's so big and it's terrifying. It's just huge. I mean, everyone heard about the Amazon on fire and California on fire. This is so much bigger than those fires. This is all around the coast of the east coast of Australia and up around the south. It's just in flames. There's like over 100 fires that are still out of control, and it's guessed that it's still going to take months just to get them under control. It's terrifying. And now the numbers that are coming out about the damage that's happening is like thousands of houses. Sorry, we've got a delay here.
No, that's what I'm trying to understand. Like, this is, I guess I've never heard this. So I've never heard, hurricanes and tsunamis, and you hear these tornadoes and these things, but I've never heard that Australia is known for fire. So I must put in perspective how bad this really is, that it's like massive world news and everyone's talking about. You're saying it's 10 times worse, because I've never heard this. I didn't know this was a thing. So, I mean, you're sounding like, you're telling me it's happened. There's stuff. It's like, there's some damage, but this is just catastrophic, out of control. And is there any what attributes to that, or why are they saying particularly now? Did something happen, a sequence of events, or what makes this year, why is it so much worse than before?
It's the driest.
Is there a reason like why this like all just the most dry?
It's the driest
really
year that
scary.
we've had, and it's Australia is. I mean, I don't want to get political or but it's true. It's the driest year that we've had, and there's a lot of choices that Australia makes with mining. I mean, mining is our biggest industry down here, and that's definitely making an impact on heating up our climate. And it's just a bit scary. But yeah, it's our driest year. There's a lot of things there's a lot of accusations that are happening, and there's a lot of political conversations and arguments that are going on right now. And I don't want to go down that route because it's messy, but it's just it's just way more out of control than it ever has been. And yes, there's articles that came out today about some people getting arrested about arson, and that happens every year. It sucks, but it happens every year. And yeah, that is what happens. But that's not why it's out of control. It's so beyond out of control. It's just bananas. I mean, the numbers, over 1 billion animals have died. I can't comprehend that. 1 billion animals, and thousands of houses are gone. 25 people have died. It's ugh.
It's it's super. I mean, I've seen the pictures, and you see here on for the charity to raise. Well, it's not. I mean, it's for the Australian wildlife fundraiser for the Australian Zoo wildlife, and I mean, they're just it's really devastating. It's scary, and I guess this is. If people are asking the best way they can help, this is a way. We'll make sure we provide the link in the below, as well as make sure you guys can. Other ways to help. Someone in the chat here live, T Portland's asking, is there any need for help there physically? Do you like any ways besides donating? I mean, in terms of workers' bodies, is there any way there? What are they saying to Australian people that are there and, obviously raise money and I mean, volunteers, I'm sure there's stuff for the animals and helping with some help, medical or recovery stuff, but is there anything they're saying for you guys, people to do there live?
Everyone is, they're asking funds. We just need money. We need money for resources. We've got, America, thankfully, thank you, America. A bunch of American firefighters just landed today in Sydney, and there's a viral video that just went of the airport, and there was just a huge applause for their arrival, which made me cry. We need experts out fighting the fires for sure, and we need experts with all of the animals. And but to support those experts with everything that they need, the biggest thing that we need is funding. This is just so huge. And to let you know, the charity that I chose for this fundraiser. So I'm just trying to rally together the poker world. The poker world is so generous. I've seen so much charity come from this industry, as you have too, Jeff, and it's really inspiring. And I've chose Wildlife Warriors because I've supported them for many years. I've been to their hospital myself. This actually was set up by Steve Irwin and his family before he died back in 2002. And it's their animal. It's called the Australia Zoo. It's a sanctuary for animals, and they have a wildlife hospital that's open every day, 24 hours. They treat about, I think, 11,000 animals a year. They've just hit 90,000 patients, and they're so focused on conservation. They have a huge koala sanctuary. To treat koalas, it costs over $5,000 per koala every time they get one, and they get hit by cars all the time, and they're at risk of being endangered. This fire has just killed at least a third of their population. So after this, for sure, they're going to be listed as an endangered species. So the idea of koalas disappearing just is terrifying. So I completely vouch for this organization, Wildlife Warriors. They're also supporting other sanctuaries around the country that are flooded with animals. They are able to send them up to this one because they're up in Queensland. They're just amazing. So trust me when I say the money is being very well spent at this organization. Okay,
well, we have that's all right. That's important. There's a very strong endorsement, and again, we had this podcast lined up for a few months ago, and your schedule's kind of crazy. Mine's been crazy, so this was not a podcast or a call for just this, but this is very relevant, very prevalent. In the moment, this is it's important to be addressed. So I do want to, make sure we cover and talk about that. And we can, at the end, we'll make sure we put the link up and please guys, if you check this out, it's not too late. Like you said, this could go on for a long time. This isn't something like the fire, and there's a lot of damage. There's going to be a lot of help needed. So if you catch this weeks, months later, this is still will be relevant, and your support is requested and appreciated. So we'll come back to this, but let's I got sidetracked there, and Lynn, let's dive back into your road through life, poker, media, all of the above, and I know you got some exciting stuff, new ventures starting as well. But let's pick up where you go to Vegas. It's 2000, so Australia, 2009, 7, 9. You go to Vegas. You get involved with how did you get the poker news? they wanted the Southeast Asia. So you start doing just kind of that. You're doing some reporting, other types of work with Poker News. And then where did it go from there?
Yeah, so then I started traveling the whole planet with Poker News, which was so much fun. And, I covered pretty much every major poker tour that there is, and really learned so much about the game, and really created an awesome network of friends. And that's how I met my man, Angel Guillen. And I was doing that for 4 years as a reporter, which I guess was kind of my long-term audition for the role that I have now with the World Poker Tour.
I think you just answered half the questions. Everyone was asking if you're married or in a relationship. There's a lot of that. You didn't leave it for a cliffhanger to the end, but there's
sorry
questions. Yes. How long have you in Angleby? I always say it's Angle, right?
Angel. Well, I say Angel because that's how you say it in English, and it's the best name ever. But he pronounces it in Spanish. It's Angel.
Angel, yeah, but Angel sounds cool, and it does spell like that as English. And I know him very well. Great guy, nice choice. Are you guys engaged, or what's the status? You're how many years together? Give us the whole scoop on this, just so we can wipe out a lot of that. We can just set people straight from the beginning. I don't want to just I want to make sure they don't get their hopes up. So
everyone can click off. Almost 9 years.
9 years. That's right. Wow. I knew it's been a long time.
Yeah.
Wow. So that's awesome.
Yeah. We're married by heart. We're married, but just not in the contractual sense, in the traditional way. It's just not really, We're more of the modern marriage.
That is modern. I like it. So, okay. So 9 years. Angel and yourself, there we go. We got that. And you met him where? When was that? When you guys met?
I used to cover the Latin American poker tour, and so I used to. It sounds so exotic. I used to see him at all these different South American stops, like in Argentina and Brazil and Chile and Costa Rica.
Yeah.
And so I used to interview him, and that's how we met. And yeah.
Wow. Little McLean and Tatiana sort of deal. Like you met, and you knew right away, and that's good. There you go, you guys.
By the way, cool. Can I just show you? It's sunset, so the lighting is incredible right now. I just need to show you. Look at my gorgeous city. This is Melbourne.
That's awesome. That is really beautiful. People need to understand it's Melbourne, not Melbourne. Okay,
that's right.
I always say Melbourne, and then I feel like I get looked at funny, and I'm like, no, I know. Like I listen. This is how it's supposed to be. And people get upset about it. Like I know, like Negrani's got a thing with that. He calls it Melbourne. He doesn't care. He's just like, I don't, I can't call it like that. But that's it. It is beautiful. It's one of my favorite cities in the world. I would say Montreal, Melbourne, and Istanbul. Those are like stand out as just special, unique, got a great vibe, and that's nice. It's nice to live in one of the most sought after and beautiful places. So is there anything, if someone's going to come to Melbourne, that you would say they're known for? Coffee, great breakfast, great places? What are some of the other things that, like, you would say that it's known for in particular as cultural or things to do, or just why it makes it so good? What to you is Melbourne? Why is it so great?
You definitely ticked off the couple of the main things. Breakfast we're famous for, and coffee we're famous for, but Melbourne is more of a, like, you come here to feel the vibe of it. The rest of Australia is beautiful to see. It's really beachy, and it's that stereotypical visual that you would have of Australia. Melbourne doesn't have the weather to sustain that reputation, so we depend on good food, sports, arts, culture. It's got a good vibe down here.
Yeah, it's very cool. Very, very nice place. It's very far away. It seems like from most of it's in its own like a crazy zone. I guess it's relative to where you are, but I just feel like from the UK, from US, it's so long, so far. You've logged some miles, right? You've done a lot of long flights, I'm sure. So
I actually have been tracking my miles. I have this app where I just put all my itineraries in there, and I've traveled, according to this, and it's not everything, but it says 1.3 million miles.
That's a lot. I don't know mine, but I'm sure it's that is, I mean, it makes sense though, right? If you're doing you're flying a lot, and you're going, a lot of flights are 12-hour, 18-hour, you're going from LA all the time, Mexico to Australia, and it's very far. So yeah, it's fun. You're a good sleeper then? You know how to, you have the whole travel.
I sleep like a champion. I sleep anywhere.
That's amazing. So, all right. So we got distracted. Angel knew 9 years, met when you the first time, where was it? It was on the Latin America poker tour. So it was like, you met him there. You guys, then after a while you start dating, you're together, and you've been so traveling. And how did that work then? Once you met him, you guys were sort of dating, and then you had your stops, how did that work schedule wise? Would you guys get to spend a lot of time because of how the tour matched up, or was it kind of not always aligned, I guess? But
we were really lucky. We got lucky because we were both assigned on the same tour. So that helped a lot, that both of us had like company budget funding our reunions. But then that was just for the first like year or two. But after that, it's the people who are watching are probably poker players, and it is hard if just one is a poker player or a traveler and the other one is kind of stuck in a location. So the two of us have been very lucky in the way that we're not restricted location wise. So we've been able to just figure it out like for 9 years. And he still lives in Mexico. I live in Los Angeles, but we still see each other all the time. I'll go visit him in between stops. He'll come to as many of World Poker Tour stops as he can, and he'll play when I'm working. So we make it work.
That's awesome.
Nice.
I'm not saying I recommend this, because this is not advice or whatever, just for anyone. But my experience, playing poker, my wife, who I met at Burning Man, and we have our 8-month-old boy now, which it's great. And, it's like, I do believe my experience is it's nice to have a little time away, right? Like it's sometimes, because if you're with someone 24/7 all the time, it's not saying it can't work or it's not right, but like my experience and from what I've noticed, it's nice to have a little bit of break, right? You miss the person, you're not with them all the time. If you want to go binge watch, a Netflix show, or you want to do your own, just kind of relax or be on the phone, catch up with friends or people, and you don't have to, I don't know. It's just kind of nice to have like a little bit of space, and then you're just like missing them like crazy when you see them. So that's all I say. I think that kind of helps in a way.
It does. I'm a big advocate. I actually think it's a really healthy way to have a relationship. And for the reasons that you said, of course, like, to have a little bit of space and you appreciate each other. But especially in the beginning, the first few years, both of you have no choice but to be independent in your lives. And then you're not leaning on each other. It's very easy in a relationship for one person to kind of give up a lot and start leaning on the other. And it just creates some problems when situations change or energies shift. And I think if the two of you are just completely independent in your own lives, and then you come together in that way, it just makes for a really healthy relationship.
Yeah, I agree there. Yeah, for sure. That's true. We got a question is kind of on the spurt here that is about travel. Any tips for long travel? I mean, I've heard a lot. I have my own theories. Do you have anything that really works? Do you do any like melatonin late for long flights? Do you try to eat before you get on a flight and then just sleep the whole time? Or do you watch movies? What's your strategy? Or is it sort of vary?
It kind of varies. I've heard all these things about timing the meals and stuff, and I'm not that rigid because I just love food and I just eat all the time.
Go for it. If you're hungry, you're eating. I get it.
Yeah, I get hangry if I don't. My biggest tip really is that when I land at a destination, I don't take a nap. It just throws you for a spin if you take a nap during the day. So usually flights are timed that you'll arrive in the morning. And so you just have to stay awake. You got to push through that, like go for a walk. I love to go for a run. That's always great to just, after a long haul flight, your legs are pretty messed up. So go for a walk or a jog and stay awake until that evening.
I was going to try to pull up hold on, let's see where we're at in the timeline. So 2009, you're doing this. What was the next, when did your career change from after starting with Poker News to the next phase? Or how many years were you doing sort of the same, like traveling, doing the stops for them? Like when was the next portion of your career after you signed with Poker News?
So I was with Poker News for 4 years, and then World Poker Tour started a new tour called Alpha 8, and it was a second show, and they wanted to have a whole new lineup of talent for the commentary team and the anchor from the main show to differentiate it. And so I got the call of a lifetime out of nowhere. I was here in Melbourne, Australia, and it was just such a dream where they were like, hey, so that we've got this show coming up, and we would love to talk to you about coming on as the anchor of the show and also as a producer, because I'd been working and creating content myself online for so many years. You know, I've been a producer for a long time, and I didn't realize at the time how valuable that was. And now that I'm in TV and I realize how much of a ginormous beast it is of a production, creating your own content online, you're learning everything. You're learning the whole picture. You're learning how to produce, how to write, how to host, how to edit, sometimes how to film yourself. Like, you're basically doing all of it. And yeah, so that's how that came up, that I got that job, and that was incredible. But then what happened though, before I had even started that, the timing was just miraculous, where Kimberly Lansing, who was the anchor before me, she had fallen pregnant with her second child. So she decided to step down from the role and stop traveling. And so then I got another call of a lifetime saying, so this has happened. How about do you want to anchor both shows? And then I would have become the connection of the two shows. So it was different commentary teams, but the same anchor. And I just couldn't believe it. I was just screaming.
It's funny. I remember this very well, because the Alpha 8, the first ever one, was at the Hard Rock in Florida. I remember you being there. I remember a very beautiful set. It was a lot of fun, 100,000 buy-in. They were thinking maybe we'd get like 50, 60 players. I think it got 21 or so. And I remember doing a piece with you outside with my buddy. His name was Glenn Beebe, Hillbilly. And we did like the massages, like out by the pool. And we did the clip. And it was cool. That was fun. I think I ended up getting third. I cashed that one. It was a lot of fun, very exciting. It was the first 100K that I played, and it was the feel and the production value was so high. It was such a great experience. And then I went on that I think there was 4 that season, and went to South Africa, Johannesburg, the safari. Remember we did that too, right? You were there for that. That was really,
lifetime.
Really epic. Also London, great stop, and then St. Kitts as well. Yes. Bill organized that one, and they got a good turnout, and that was a lot of fun. So yeah, that was a tour that, I think it's interesting, because I think at the landscape at the time of the high rollers, that was sort of maybe the time it just started really, those were like the sort of happening. And now it seems like there's these events all over. There's the Triton stop. Triton is sort of doing what that was, but it does seem like there would be a marketplace again for it in a way, but I guess it's just different stuff. But that was exciting. That was great. And WPT, that was, their high roller edition, went for a few seasons and in a very exciting time. So, but the not just Alpha 8, but this was, like you said, this is where you broke into the World Poker Tour. So now you are now transitioned, and you are doing this. So now, what was that like? Because now this is World Poker Tour. It's an unbelievable broadcast. Mike Sexton, Vince Van Patten, these guys, like at the time, those shows are just so exciting. For poker that's been around for a decade at that point about. And what was that like working with those guys and being you're on Fox or national television, hosting it, and how was this like? I mean, this was about as good as it gets, right? This must be so exciting to now be on internet, to be on TV, and not only just doing the reporting, this great show in an industry that you love. So tell me a little bit about what that was like, and maybe a learning experience with that.
Yeah, it was surreal. It still is surreal when I think about it, to be honest. It just, I forget that we're on TV. 1 million people per week watch this show. When you're doing your thing, and it's easy to forget that sometimes it blows my mind. And I was really nervous when I first started. Oh my God, Mike Sexton and Vince Van Patten. I've been watching these guys from afar for so long, and what are they going to be like? And they are honestly exactly the same in real life as they are on the show. Like they're my 2 uncles, and on my first show, they were just the best, and they completely took me in under their wing, and they took me to the bar. They're like, "Let's go, Lenny." And they wanted to get to know me. They're like, "Right, now, do you have a boyfriend? What's the deal? What's going on?" Like they were just the best. It made me feel so welcome. And I was so grateful for that, because it made me feel really comfortable, because I just, you don't know what you're walking into in a new environment. And it's just been the most beautiful company to work for. Like Adam Pliska, the president of WPT, always refers to us all as the WPT family, and that's the culture that he's always wanting to instill in the environment. And it really is. It's I just love everyone I work with.
It's great. I did the that show with Maria, the King of the Club, which it was good. They did well on that, and I enjoy it. Same thing, working with those guys in the studio, all the team, like the whole World Poker. It seems very tight knit. It seems like on the production, the shows, everyone knows each other, and they're, you know, it's a very nice core, very relaxed, very enjoyable what they do. They enjoy what they're doing. I met with Adam as well in Vegas recently. Talked to him for a while because he just seems to get it. You know, he really is in tune to what the industry is, what it wants, and they make changes. They listen to the players, and you know the stops are great. And it's great news for poker. It seems like it's expanding. The World Poker Tour is adding stops. They have circuits. They have WPT deep stacks. Like I was looking on the schedule, it's like there's just all year there's stuff going on. Tony Dunst now involved. You know, Caitlin Howe. They've expanded the team, and Phil Hellmuth does this a bit. The Raw Deal, and yeah, I mean it's just a great team, great organization. So yeah, it's very exciting. Congrats on that, and it looks like, you know, it's still going, still running. And tell me a little bit about how that works. Do you know your whole schedule? Like how far out are you planned out? Do you know, like, all right, this is the season, I'm going to these, I'm green screen in LA these, I'm going live to these, or do they kind of like, you know, how much advance notice do you have, or do they just kind of say, hey, we need you to come for this, or it's planned out?
It's a little bit of both. So our TV events, you know, will always be at those, and then throughout the year, you know, new stops will pop up, or we'll have charity events for Wpt Foundation that will come up. We have awesome sponsor events that come up, like the one that you came to in at Bellagio in Vegas with Louis Trey. And so all throughout the year, things will pop up as well. So it's a bit of both. So I have the skeleton schedule, and we always film our show now in Vegas. So we have 2 periods per year that we film our episodes. So that one's coming up in March 31st, and then April 1st and 2nd for those TV. So, you know, we've got our filming dates, and then we have all of the tour stops throughout the year.
But so, for example, the one coming up here, I believe Hard Rock right now or soon. Are you going, when you're doing filming, which stops generally do you go to, and which stops do you do the recording now in LA, or how does that work? What's the mix on that?
So we changed the format. So it was that we would truck our set to the TV stops, you know, and pop it up, and then set up the table and film, and then pull it down. And it was an amazing you know, effort to do that. But now we have the home of the WPT, which is at the Luxor in Las Vegas at the HyperX Esports Arena. And it's a beautiful studio. It's, you know, it's an esports studio year round, and it turns into the home of the WPT when we're filming. And it's just this big, sexy table on a huge stage with like incredible screens everywhere. And it's, you know, you've got all these bars, like breakout bars, and people can sit around in lounges, and it's a really cool spot to come and watch the show. And what's great is that it's in the format where for our TV stops, you know, the final table will pause when we get to our final table, and then they go to Vegas, you know, a few weeks later to play down. And what we've noticed with that, like last year with our final tables, the rail, it was incredible. The difference of the energy, because so many times as a poker player yourself, you know, like when you're traveling to stops, you don't have your family with you all the time. And and you could make the final table at 2 a.m. and it's the very next day. There's not enough time for your family to come and fly in. And so how sad if you're winning, you know, you have this life-changing moment, and you don't have your friends and family there with you. And the difference of the energy of our final tables has been amazing. Like people have T-shirts made, and they've got rails of 60.
It's so innovative. This is the type of stuff I'm talking about. Just like also technology, timing, the excitement, like you're saying, it's just great. Like the fact that now, I mean, because it's like a sport. It's exciting. There's television, there's networks, there's announcers, there's commentary, anchors, the whole thing. And then now it's like you're on stage, very high production in like an arena. I mean, it's just so cool that they've gone this route. Someone's had the foresight, the vision, and then Adam Pliska, and just all of it coming together, because it's not easy. You know, you got to think about it, you got to time it, you got to figure out when you're going to do it, what makes sense. It seemed like they time it right before the World Series. They put the tables there, and like you said, it's great. You can have family, friends. It's Las Vegas. You know, you can have it come, and it's sort of the final. And I'm not really sure. I forget the exact format now. So they're doing it like the Hard Rock. Let's take for example. That's coming up here. There's a WPT. And if you make the final table now, when is that is, are they do all of them back to back to back, or no? They're like different sections, because they do all the final. tables
Oh,
at?
I've lost you. Hello. I've lost you if you can still hear me.
Uh-oh. All right, we're back. Maybe hopefully clear. Can you? I don't even know if I need it. It says, and I think we're still live.
Oh yeah,
Not sure.
I can see that too.
Yeah, I think we're still good. It might just have a thing, but so that was a long. I got cut off. I'm not sure where I was at. Basically, I'm asking, how do they decide, or how many of the World Poker Tour or do they do like the Hard Rock finishes now? Is it in a week they go play the esports, or is it they come all in May? Because I remember one year or recently there was like a lineup of back-to-back days of final tables. Do you know how that works, or is that different? Different ones are different. How is that scheduled?
Yeah, so we schedule the events and the filming so that there's never too long of a wait. So we have the filming dates that are coming up. Is March 31st, April 1st, and April 2nd, and then that's going to be for the final tables of Gardens and Borgata and the LAPC. And so then what happens is they pause, and then we have these 3 days back to back to back. And so for a fan of the show, like if you were to come, if you're in Vegas and to watch, it's so cool because you have 3 days back to back of watching these high stakes final tables playing out for millions of combined dollars, and you can just basically binge in real life. It's a lot of fun.
And that is fun because two of the poker world's fairly niche, or fairly small, interconnected. So often, maybe one or two guys, or you have like a great friend there, but then some other guys you're rooting for. So you just kind of get to go out there and spend some time and get to enjoy and watch high level, big money prizes. So very cool. So okay, so now I have an idea how you kind of got in. It was by luck, by chance. You got going. You got into this world. You love it. It's fun. You've met you said so many friends. You met your now boyfriend, fiance, husband, however you want to call it, 9-year relationship, modern marriage, angel. So you got that. You found love. You found your career, and it is a great industry. Now let's talk a little bit about your poker ability, because I want to just those of you are asking. These are some questions about Lynn's poker ability. There she is. There was a lot of chips in front of her on her Hendon Mob, and actually an impressive amount of flags. You've got multiple countries here. Not a ton of tournament results. I know you do charity stuff, but you have. I mean, you're not playing a lot of them, so this is pretty cool. You have 2 wins, which is hard, and a third. Tell me about the first time here you ever played. Was that one of the you cash a $500? You took third. What was that like? When did you learn the rules of poker? Because you got into Crown Melbourne. You're working there. Did you learn poker right away, or was it like a while before you even knew what straight flush is and these things, or what was your experience at that point, and when did you get into poker a little bit?
I knew the rules, like the book of rules, because my job in marketing was to make the brochures and stuff. So I knew the rules, but you're not as an employee of a casino, you can't play. So actually, when I had gone to Vegas, I had never sat at a live poker table before. Because I wasn't allowed to. There's only one casino per state, So
Right.
that was pretty daunting. And so I needed to, I'd played a few home games to like try, but I had no idea what I was doing. And so, it took a while. Like, obviously you need to know this game to really know what you're talking about and to talk to you guys. It's a whole different language. So that was an overwhelming trip. I thought I knew what I was talking about, but when I got to the World Series, I was like, oh my God, what is this? So I just started playing and learning over time and entering small buy-in tournaments. And it was an expensive journey of learning, because back then there was not the availability of content as there is now. It was a totally different world.
And yes, it's funny. I was actually, I might have crashed the first crash because I was trying to do, and I realized not a good idea with the bad internet is I was trying to pull up the clip of me and you and I from the Alpha 8 with that little, segment where we were outside sipping the coconuts and my buddy was getting a massage, but then the net, I tried to open YouTube and I think I crashed us. So we'll have to find that for later, but that was a long time ago. And there's a lot of, doing the bits and stuff. You said you're producing, so that's pretty cool, right? You're coming up with some ideas, you're working with Alpha 8, you're doing, come up with some skits, some cool stuff. So which do you like more? Do you prefer doing the anchor side of it, or do you prefer the sort of producing creative side of it, or is it just?
I love all of it. I just love the whole thing. Sometimes I like to not have to think much and just go and read a script that someone else wrote for me, and it's a lot, it's a bit easier. And then other times I love the control freak in me that likes to take over, and I'm like, oh, here's an idea. What about this? And so I love just creating stuff online, and especially because online it's a lot more loose and like fast turnaround, and it's quick, and it's on my iPhone or whatever, and it's more on the fly. So that's kind of what I do. And then we have amazing producers on the show, so I leave that up to them. And so for the World Poker Tour show, they come up with all the amazing ideas in the production, and it's really well thought through for like months in advance. And for that, then I can show up and do their amazing work. So it's a bit of both. And
Lynn, we got to take a quick TO because you got to show us what's going on in the background here. This view is epic. What's happening?
I'm so glad you said, because
look at this time. Holy cow. What is going on? Give us bring us in there. What is happening? Is this a, that is crazy. This is sunset time right now. That's beautiful. Is that every night right now?
No, but
is this special? It's like an extra good sunset, or is this?
Yeah, but I feel bizarre. I just feel a bit conflicted celebrating it, because I think it might be because of the smoke. It's not, obviously the red is the sun, but I think because we have a lot of smoke around, that's creating the reflection and the reflection of the sun. So it's a pretty magic.
It's beautiful.
Look at this.
Oh yeah, we do that is, wow, those are stunning colors, and
that's
wow,
beautiful.
Yeah, very, really.
But I haven't seen that the last few nights. That's not normal. That's beautiful. But
that is very nice. So all right, well, we got that covered. We have talked about the wild again at the end. We'll close with that at the very end of the show. We have a lot of questions, so I want to quickly just talk about your winning this event, because it's pretty cool to get a trophy, right? You did win. I believe it was a fair amount of entrance. I saw you won a EPT, which is cool. You got a trophy in Barcelona, great city. And what was that like? How does that feel to take first out of 148 entrants? That's not a sit and go. That's beating out a lot of people. And I'm sure you don't play a ton, right? You're doing work, you're anchoring, you're hanging out, you're doing all this stuff, so you don't get to play a lot. So what's it like to actually? Was it cool, like to win that trophy? That must have felt pretty cool.
Yeah, that was epic, because for years, I've always been there at this winning moment for hundreds of players, maybe, thousands of players, and seeing that moment and interviewing players in that moment, and they're quite often speechless. And then I finally felt what that felt like. And I was like, yeah, wow, I am speechless. I get it now. It was just really rewarding to finally be on that other side of the coin, and just going through the journey of it. It's pretty nerve-wracking, and but what was so funny though? It was the largest ladies event in EPT history at the time.
I saw that. I had a note of that. Yeah, that's right.
But when I won, so it was a small buy-in. So my prize, I think, was €6,000 or something. when I won, the high roller was going on the tables right next to us. And so when I won, and the players were like, "Oh, congrats. Oh my God, what'd you win?" That high roller was a 50K buy-in and I won like 6K. So that was pretty funny. But I was just the glory. I got the trophy and the title.
That's awesome though. It matters. The trophies are hard. It's very hard to win events. And then you did cash. It looks like you played the World Series ladies event as well. You seem to every odd year, every 2 years, 2009, 11, 15, 17, you get a cash. And what was that like to play in the World Series women's event? Looks like you cashed and went deep. That must have been fun as well.
Yeah, that was fun. That was a lot of fun. I made it like bagging chips in a WSOP event. It's not something I've done often. I think I've only done it twice in my life.
Let me ask you what's more fun, to rail Angel when he's deep? I know he's won World Series bracelets. I've actually played with him several times in World Series deep. I know he's won one bracelet and had some great results. He also, I believe, does some commentary now in WPT for Latin America and other stuff. And he's very well known and respected player. So what do you like more? Would you say, based on your playing experience, is that more fun, or do you like when he's like at a final table or deep? Which do you think is more exciting?
I much prefer having a drink on the rail and getting to watch Angel because there's way more of a chance that he's going to win because he's a beast, and the pressure is off me on the choices that I have to make because I can just watch him. I have so much respect for poker players. The roller coaster of emotions that you go through when you're playing, and I love to play. It's so fun, and I play. Probably once a month is probably how much I play, and I just could never do it as a full time because I would just be an emotional wreck. So I just have so much respect for you guys.
Yes, well, it's nice of you to say. It's true. It's a great game. It applies to life, and it's I think poker is important with the media, with World Poker Tour and WSOP and all the other stops. And now there's a lot of content, podcasts, there's YouTube, there's Twitch, there's other things, and I think it's about time that poker gets, I don't want to say more respect, but there's some negative connotations just in the past. But you see it's getting, officially legalized in the States, in a lot of places. And I think it's people are starting to really understand and respect that the game, how beautiful and great a game it can be. And, I think that's it's awesome that we get to provide a good light on it and showcase it and keep moving forward. I do want to, there's a ridiculous amount of questions. I think a lot of them are asking if you're married or not, but there's a lot anyway. So we've already been on for a while, and I want to make sure we get to cover some of those. And I don't want to, that sunset looks so ridiculously beautiful. I'm hoping maybe you can catch a little bit of it after, I don't take that away completely during this time. It is a great backdrop, and we have some people. I see a real live question here. Someone is asking, before we'll go to the Twitter questions. And again, you guys can win a $55 ticket courtesy of Party Poker. If you ask Lynn a question, you will be entered and follow the instructions on my Twitter. But right now, there's one which just popped up on the screen. What is your favorite stop on the WPT? Not including Sydney, which also, that's big news, right? Australia, the first time ever, a WPT, I believe this year recently. So besides that one, I got to take that out of the equation. What's your favorite? And tell me,
To correct, it's actually on the Gold Coast, which is super beautiful. That's where the WPT is. So, but it's and then it's magic. But other than Australia, seeing I'm not allowed to answer that because it absolutely is my question. I always say Montreal. I love Montreal. It's just, the Playground Poker Club is incredible. It's, everyone knows about it for that reason. It's just amazing. So that's definitely my favorite place. And the city is just magic. It's just a miniature little Paris. It feels like you're in old school Europe, and but then it's very modern at the same time. It's just a really fun city to visit.
I agree. That might be my favorite city in the world, let alone for playground poker as well. They do such a great job, and it's such a cool city. It's really, I think it's the only city in North America. It's got like that European vibe to it. It's just very special. So, all right, good answer. That I concur with you. I think that's right. What about your favorite city? What are one of the favorite cities you've been to in the world traveling? Not necessarily on the stop or tour, but what like just in general are some places you've traveled that you love because you travel a lot?
I do, and so that's why it's so hard to answer this question, because I really just love so many places, and it's hard to pick one. But You know what's magic is Queenstown in New Zealand. It's a magical little haven. Just it's kind of like right in between these incredible mountains, and in the wintertime it's a snow town and cobblestone streets with little bars and fireplaces. It's just really pretty.
Yes, I've been there. I agree. Because Australia, I've been a few times for the Aussie Millions, which is going on now. It's a great time in Australia because at Melbourne and Crown, and they got the big tournaments. They got the tennis world-class events going, and it's cool. But that is not far. If you're going to go to Australia and you're in North America, definitely, I think that's a good way to package it and go hit New Zealand on your way. It's a very special place. So. Agree. All of the answers check out. It makes sense. You know your stuff. We're gonna go. Let's dive into the Twitter question area because there's a lot. So I want to make sure we get to a good amount of these. So we'll kind of scroll through. And again, there are a lot of. Well, I don't speak Spanish, so I'm not sure what that.
I saw that one. He asked, "What do I do in my free time?" And I should learn more Spanish.
Yeah, but well, that's good. You can decipher that. So yeah, free time. Give us some hobbies. What are you doing when you get to just kind of relax?
What am I doing? I don't know. I'm traveling. Like, so, and the way that Angel and I love to explore when we're traveling is by food. We're foodies, we eat. So really when I have a day off, it's usually involving catching up with someone and eating and or exploring a new city. That's just really what I'm always doing.
Okay. Very cool. Favorite hand in poker, not aces. Give us like a fun one that you just like, you see it, you're playing, you're just like, I'm playing it.
I always get really excited by Jack 10 of spades.
So even specific suit, not Jack 10 suit. I like that.
Jack really gets me going when I see the spade.
You got a royal? Have you hit a royal flush with it or something? Is there anything like why you just?
Actually, I have. Oh my god, that must be why I have had a royal flush in the ladies' event in Barcelona that I won. I got a royal flush of spades.
There it is. All right, see that has. Yeah, it was, or maybe clubs, but it was black. It's Jack 10, so yeah, it's good. That's nice. How long have you played poker? How long would you actually say you started in 09 or 07 at Crown? When could you actually say you played poker? Like you could go sit at a cash game, be competent, and you actually could play some cards now.
I would say it took me a good few years after. So it probably I'd say 2012, maybe I started to truly have a clue what I was doing and would confidently sit at a cash game table. I'm just plucking that year out. The first time I sat at a live table, in a casino in Vegas, was 2009, but I had no idea what I was doing. So yeah.
You're lucky that Angel is a world-class player. Do you talk strategy? Does he ever come back and you got after he busts or from a hand, or he's excited and he wants to talk some? Are you at a level where you can be like, yeah, I had ace queen under the gun, I raised, this guy 3-bet me, I called? Did you guys talk poker like that at all? Do you follow the action? Does he try to help you with stuff? Will he be like, hey, this is a hand, I wouldn't do this because, or this is good? You guys talk a bit, or I'm
totally.
Sure not like a part of your daily routine, but I'm sure you talk some poker.
No, it's not like a daily thing, and he doesn't tell me everything because he has his poker clan that he chats with. But for sure, he's always telling me about some shitty spot that he got stuck in or whatever. And also when I'm playing, he's always giving me advice, and he'll message me and go, okay, we're on the bubble now, this is what you got to do, you got to whatever, and now you should shift a little, and always giving me coaching. Once I was playing on a live stream in a main event, and he was like, Lynn, don't talk when you're in a hand, because he was watching, so he's always giving me advice.
That's cool.
But it was really cute actually when we first started dating. He had bust out of a tournament. He came back to our room and he was telling me about what had happened. And he when he talks, he paces around, right? And he was all in his pacing around. He's telling me about his hand. And he just stopped mid-hand. He looks at me. He's like, I love that I can tell you this.
Right. Yeah, it's exciting, right? Because it's you would listen even if you didn't know and don't know anything. You would just be supportive and be like, oh, okay. But it's different when you're actually. You can follow along, and it can be lonely sometimes. Poker's tough because again, you're basically, if you're a tournament player in particular, you're playing a game that it's so rare to win. Even if you get you get 5th or 8th or 12th or you min cash, it's sort of like a weird deal where you're just not. I'm not gonna say you're not happy, but you're just kind of in a cash game, if you win money, you win money, and that's that. But if you in a tournament, there's a lot of time you're rarely winning. Even a second, you're super happy, maybe get a good score, but you didn't actually get that trophy. So it's good to be able to have support, be able to talk to someone and feel like they understand what you're doing. Because my wife, you know, I'll tell her I bust, and then even like I'll be like, I had kings and he had whatever, you know, ace 10, and you lose, and she's just like, oh, like why, you know, like why didn't you see the flop, or like how did, you know, like look, and I'm just like, all right, you know, like let's just talk about our boy, you know, our son, and let me poke to the side, but. It's good. It's good.
Fatherhood, by the way. Your
it's great. So it's the best thing, honestly. It's crazy. It's fun. I highly recommend it. I endorse it. You endorse. You know, you can put your backing on the talking about this. A great fundraising for the fires and where to put the money to help. And I can tell you, I can endorse fatherhood. It's amazing. I really recommend it. What about kids for you, Is that something you have? Is that something you would like?
Yeah, we just want to have one so that we can keep up with the lifestyle that we've got. My friends who have multiple kids have given me that advice. Like, if you just have one, then it's kind of easier to just fit that human into your world. So, yeah, I think we'll.
Yeah, I think I'm an only child, and I didn't realize that's not that's kind of, I guess, I don't want to say bizarre, but not normal. Do you have brothers, sisters?
I do. I have a brother, but he's 7 years older. So a lot of my upbringing, you know, because there was such a big gap, I felt like an only child in a way.
Mm-hmm. Right. Okay. But so you do, because I'm when I look back, like I never even noticed it, but maybe like 5 years ago or 10 years ago, I can't remember. Somehow it got brought up, and someone's like, "Oh, they're like, yeah, you're pretty normal for an only child." And I was like, "What does that mean?" And then I thought about it. And I was like, I don't have one of my closest friends, not one, that are an only child. Like I could think of like many. It's not normal, but I think now the times have changed, and I feel like it is more normal. And I mean, I don't even think of it like that. Like you know, my whatever. If we have more, I'd be great, but I don't feel like it's I think one's amazing or whatever. Anything works, and I endorse it. I love it. I recommend it. It's awesome. I'm sure, you know, you guys are whatever good. If you have it, you love it. Yeah.
My Irish background, like I was born in Ireland, and I look very Irish. He's Mexican. Who knows what our kid will look like? I'm so excited to see what that combination will be.
That would be, I guess that's probably not like the most normal mix. I don't know too many Irish, but it'll be great. Whatever it is, it's all good. So you'll love it. Any resolutions or challenges? Do you do that? Do you like sit down and reflect on a year, or just make goals, New Year's resolutions?
No, I'm not a resolution type, but I am just always forever trying to just improve and be better than yesterday. So, but I'm not the type to like new year, new goal.
Okay.
Yeah, but you know, at the moment, I've been working out a lot more than I have in the past, and I'm stronger than I've ever been before, and it's the greatest feeling in the world. So, if I was to say, I just want to make sure I keep that up.
That's very And are you vegetarian, vegan? I want to say, or no, or
I don't like labels. I haven't eaten meat in 8 years, but I don't label myself because I'll eat a little seafood here and there. If there's cheese on my pizza, I'm not going to go crazy. I love ice cream, you know. So I'm flexible, but I don't eat meat.
That's the way to go. That seems like the way. That's how I would like to be, because I've seen those movies. What's it called? Game Changer, some other stuff. Actually, my parents watch that, and they now are vegan, which is pretty crazy. You know, they're 60s to just like
amazing.
See that go. And I actually had a burger here the other day, a B12 or something, and I thought it was the sauce. I swear, I ordered it. I saw a hamburger. I saw this burger on the menu actually at this hotel, and I ordered it and I ate it, and I thought it tasted so funny, like just like not funny, but just different. I thought maybe it was the sauce on it. And then the next day when I went back and I was like looking at it, and then I realized it was vegan, or one of these burgers that aren't really burger. And I was like, man, I was like, you know what? It like tastes good. I was like, I could definitely eat this. And I think like that's the same way. I'd like to eat less meat, and I don't want to say I'll never eat it. I don't think it's realistic to just have been accustomed to that for so long, and then just like cold turkey, or just stop, doing that. But it's, I could get behind that and try to eat like way less, because I do think it's a good thing. So I remember hearing that about you, or that somewhere some kind of talk that you didn't eat much meat or was vegan. But that's great. So cool. I think it's a very I think it has misconceptions. It's an interesting topic, and that's good to know.
Well, there's less pressure. You know,
Yeah.
sorry,
Yeah,
there's just
yeah,
less pressure.
exactly.
You know, you don't have this
Yeah.
big, scary, intimidating set of rules, and you can't fail if you don't have like this pressure of like this label. Then you can't fail, and you're just making a change one meal at a time.
Yes, that's I agree. I couldn't agree more. Anchor of WPT, what does that mean? Someone's asking. What is an anchor of because that's actually true. I don't hear that term very much. I know what it means, but it like how would you describe exactly what an anchor is?
So, like a sports anchor or a news anchor, you know, when you watch a sports show on Fox or, you know, and you've got the anchor at the desk who kind of like runs the show. She opens the show or he opens the show. I throw to the commentators, I'll throw to interviews, I'll throw to the table, throw to commercial breaks, like that kind of thing. So I am the anchor of the World Poker Tour TV show. And then I have Tony Dunst and Vince Van Patten in the commentary booth.
That's awesome. Yeah, it's true. And now Tony is Mike Sexton, who's with Party Poker. He's World Poker Tour family from the very beginning, been with them, but now Tony is doing the calls with Vince. So, that's awesome. It's nice. Tony Dunn does a great job, and, great team. And Mike's always still part of the family and still involved. And, it's Mike Sexton. I mean, he is the guy you think of when you hear World Poker Tour. His voice, that just so many great calls, and he's a great guy. A lot of fun.
He is.
Yeah. So, here we go. Here they come. Lynn, would you marry me? So here's the first one of many. There's the request. So we see that one from Buble. So Lynn, how are we? Should we just cover these in one swoop? What's going on? You are 9 years.
Well, you're making me reject him on air.
Not reject, just maybe inform. I want to inform people what's going on out there, just so we can, because there's a lot of these, so we can clean up part of the thing.
Sorry, seats taken, guys.
There it is. We might. Yeah, this is that's just what it is, guys. Doesn't mean, listen, you can still smile and be nice, and everyone can be friends. So it's okay. But she is not on the market. Would you learn your daughter to play poker? Maybe there's an English translate. Would you teach, or would you let her play? Or
absolutely.
Okay, I would be. That makes sense, right? You play, you get it. I like it. So you're good. Someone says, hello, you can't wait. How many years have you worked in poker media, guys? We have covered this. What is your specific function with the WPT? We've also covered this. Favorite hand. We have covered this. Okay, and someone asking, Australia's support of the global poker community has been priceless. What do you think about the solidarity of poker players? She's asking about the solidarity of people raising money, but also I have a second part of that question. But how is that? Were you surprised? Is this what you expect when you saw this type of support? Did it even? How do you feel about that?
I am, but I'm not. If that makes sense. I mean, I've seen so much generosity in the poker world over the time that I've been here. I mean, Wpt Foundation, we hold events all year round, and we work with awesome organizations like the TGR Foundation by Tiger Woods, and we've raised over $22 million for charities, and that's all through poker, like playing poker. And so I do see it all the time, and I had a high expectation, but of course, at the same time, when I'm putting up my tiny little fundraiser on Facebook, it's like I didn't believe in myself. Like, can I, get this far enough and spread it far enough? And it's just gone wild. And my initial goal was to raise $10,000. I was like, just like a main event buy-in. Let's go for 10 grand, and we got it in a day. And so I raised it up to 50, and we're about to hit it. And so I actually think tomorrow I might raise it up to 100. I'm going to go big.
Bump it up. Why not, Lynn? Let's go. Let's get it done. Let's make sure. I mean, this is that number is it's just astounding to hear 1 billion animals affected or killed or injured. I mean, it's terrible, and it's I mean, like you said, it goes a long way. And like you were mentioning, the koala, it's like 5,000 a koala to treat in Australian dollars or something like that. It's it's not, there's a lot of support needed, and it's so we'll put that info again below.
Thanks,
and
Jeff.
Try to make sure everyone is aware, because I think that's part of, usually in these spots, people are really willing to give and support and help in these times. It's like a matter of knowing where to go, or it's like, I don't want to, or it's just even like, just subconsciously, people are like, oh, I got to click a link, I got to do this. Is it going to the right place? But if you feel confident that it's going to be going to the right place, and there's a path and endorsement that it's good, then I think it helps a lot. So that's great, and you have given your endorsement, and that is plenty for me and hopefully others to move forward with donating. So what is your favorite poker player? And don't say Angel, like, because of course, but not like, just one that you've been in the media now in poker for over 10 years, 12 years. Who are some like characters or people you remember from the beginning, just maybe you've seen on TV over the years, or now in person and you've met or interviewed, who's like very fun, just someone that you enjoy watching or know something about them, like besides Angel, because I know he's got your gold medal locked up in every category.
He does. He's definitely my favorite. Yeah, I mean, I can't pick favorites. I hate picking favorites. I don't like it.
Lynn, we're live. Pick someone. This is not optional.
I'm gonna say one of my favorites is Christy Arnett. I absolutely adore her. She's one of my best friends, and she's a gun poker player. And she, started in the poker world similar to me as a reporter, and she's a writer. And but she's really committed to learning the game well,
yes.
and like depends on it for her income. And I'm so proud of how far she's come and how much she's learned. And she's just a gun. And when I hear her, I'm staying with her at the moment, actually, her and her husband Andrew and Angel, and like when I hear the three of them all talk strategy and stuff, like I get it if I try to, but I kind of zone out, like they're just, they're guns. She's amazing. That's
awesome. Well, I will say, Christy, spoiler alert, she is one of coming up podcast guests, because I really, she is so much fun. She is a great player. Also, been in poker news, done a ton of media, and just very immersed in poker. And she's a great person, and I'm excited for that as well. So that's I'm glad you said that, and she's going to be on soon, so that'll be fun as well. She does her own podcast, I believe. I don't know if she's still doing it frequently, but I know she's done it, and I think you've been on it, or she's done. I don't know if you've been on it, but she's done. I know she does a lot of content and very fun, innovative.
She's so
things,
fun.
so.
She has the podcast, like WTF am I doing with my life, and it's on pause at the moment, but she'll fire it up again. And she's a writer. She's writing a book right now, and it's about taking risk and love and what she's learned through poker, and she's applying it to relationships, and she's just amazing. And she's just we love to create content together. We like to create little sketches, and we want to make more of them. And we've worked together for a long, long time, and I just love her.
Yeah. All right. Well, fair. I'm with you. I agree, and that's definitely a great pick. Do you play sports? What are your sports you like to watch and play?
Growing up, I was never into sports. I was a dancer, so that was my sport of choice. Was just dancing. Not that I was exceptionally good at it, but I just loved it. So I've never been sporty. Really, I like tennis.
Like dance, as in like a dance to choreographed, or like you like to go out, and when you guys go out, you dance, or both?
A bit of both. Once I turned 18, it turned into going out and dancing. But before that, it was like, no, I used to take dance classes and have dance concerts when I was a kid and all of that. But tennis, I love tennis. That's probably my next after poker would be tennis.
Okay. Yeah, good choice. Also, Australia, they have the Crown, or what's it? No, I'm sorry. It's called the
Australian Open. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right now, right? Or coming up?
Soon.
Or right
it
now?
Starts in about a week.
Is that something you go see some stuff, or have you been to some?
Every year, because I used to work there actually. So I worked there for 4 years. And it's just such a fun event. And so every year I always go. Just on a ground pass, it's like $40, and you go in for the day, and you can, on the first week, you can see some of the best players on the outside courts for super cheap. And there's huge beer gardens and food trucks and concerts, like music concerts. It's really a great event.
Yeah. I've been a few times as well. It's definitely, if you're in the area during this time, check it out. It's a great venue. Is WPT your full-time job? So like you're an anchor for WPT. How would you describe that? That's your full-time gig? Do other cut for a second. You recently got into acting. Is that true? Yes. So what can you tell us about that? What's going on with that?
So yeah, WPT is my full-time gig, but I do have space in between to do other stuff. So year-round, I am always working for WPT. And but then in between tour stops, I've been working on some films, which has been really fun. And, a couple of them are still in the works and coming out soon. And I'm actually on a very short list at the moment and waiting for news about a possible very popular Aussie TV show that maybe I'll have a little guest role on. So hopefully I'll find that out next week. Yeah, that's my childhood dream was acting. I always loved it.
That's so cool. Very, very nice. Yeah, well, that's exciting, and I'm sure we'll be following along. Again, guys, you can see here on Instagram, we have it's that's why I think as I was saying, it blends, but it's one word. It's Lynn Gilmartin, and she has also Twitter, Instagram. She's got a Facebook page. She has her Hen and Mob profile, so you can follow along all the different routes. What do you like on social media, or in terms of which one do you use more? Do you do balance,
Instagram.
or you like Instagram? Instagram. That's sort of the right. Twitter, we all use it, but I think Instagram is the more interactive, fun, and
I post a lot of stories. I'm in stories all the time.
Me too. I like to have, if I feel like I like to just, I feel as that you're in the industry, you're part of your thing. Same with me. I do content, a lot of content. I'm trying to use, I've looked at my screen time stuff, and it gets a little, it gets a little bit crazy. I feel like sometimes I get caught up in it, or I find myself scrolling through too much, but it's part of what part of what our job is to produce some fun stuff and stories and whatnot. But Instagram's great, right?
Totally.
It's a great tool.
And I just did a little story now.
I love it. There it is. Guys, check her out right now. She's there. Stuff's happening. Get there. Give her a follow on there. And very, very entertaining stuff. So sports we covered. What is your goal for this year at work? You say you don't really do like goals or set like per year, but is there anything you would say, all right, you know what, last year was great. I've loved what I'm doing this year. I want to try to do a little more of this, or I would love to, do you have anything you're focused on to improve or to innovate?
I want to book more acting gigs. I just love it. I've played myself on TV for so long. It's so fun playing another character and just, mucking around with someone different to me. So, my immediate goal is to hopefully book this one that I am on a very short list. I'm on a final table right now, guys. I reckon I'm three-handed in this situation. So I'm just really hoping to get the win.
Are you mid-stack? Are you chip leader? What's the situation?
I don't know. I don't know. I feel like I'm going to be chip leader. I don't know. I hope
All
so.
right. That's
think
nice.
Positive.
That's awesome. Positivity, that's for sure. Cool. Well, I will say I have a couple of friends in the industry that are doing some stuff in. If you have a resume, or you're sort of, I don't know how exactly it works in acting. I guess obviously there's some sort of card profile. Send it over. I could push it over and just
Thanks, mate.
It's fun. You never know. It's also like poker. I feel like it's a small world, right? Like at some point there's just people kind of in it. And it's like, what's the difference between, it's just sometimes you have to get lucky or get a break or just get in the right spot, because it's just like hard. There's so much going on in these places. It's like, oh, well, this is very personable. This is an attractive person, but you just kind of got to get right place, right time. Like with your job in Melbourne,
sure.
It's Crown, and then into poker, and things happen very quickly. So do send me that, and I have a contact. I could just send it over. Who knows? You could be you might be on the winning Academy Award in 3 years. We'll look back.
And this recording will be a very pivotal moment that we will have a record of to set history.
Absolutely, that would be awesome. You never know. So there's a question here, and you did already reply, but just again, we covered this sort of at the beginning of the podcast. Maybe some of you weren't here or didn't see it, but where can we send donations so that they can begin the construction of additional facilities for the care of bats and koalas, as well as distribute food and medicine and wildlife keepers in the fire zone? So you did put the link here. This is the same one that goes to this, right?
Yeah. So it's pinned. Yes. If you go to my Twitter account, I've shared it a bunch, or it's on my bio on my Instagram account. It's at Lynn Gilmartin on all of them. But it's a Facebook fundraiser. And if you don't have Facebook and you can't donate through there, I'm also taking PayPal, Venmo, and all of that. So just DM me. It's like a full-time gig at the moment. I am on my computer and I've got 2 phones going, and I'm just coordinating all these donations for the last 4 days. It's been epic, and we're up to 44,000. I should refresh it actually, because I'm sure we've gone up since we started talking.
All right, I'm gonna look at that. Let me hit that too. I'm just worried anything I do on my computer.
We've gone up $700 Australian since we started this podcast.
30,400. Yep. There it is. Yeah. Things are moving. So and mine's not in there yet. I'm gonna bump it up here at the end. So I'll make sure, and I hope you guys are able to do it. So let's keep it going. She's doing a great thing. This is every bit helps. I think that's I think that's a misconception too, is people say, oh, if I donate $5, $10, $50, like, what's the difference? But it's just one of those things where it's just like, you can see how quickly it can add up so fast. What a little bit where you're not going to notice it for sure. That's how it starts.
And the perfect analogy for it is like your credit card. How many times at the end of the month are you like, how is the balance that big? And there's just a bunch of $5, $10 charges that you kind of dismissed at the time. It all adds up. And so many people have written kind of like shamefully going, I'm so sorry, my donation is small. And I'm like, are you kidding? And being on the receiving end at the moment, this has been a learning experience for me too, because I have felt that in the past. Like, if I can't donate $100, or what's the point? No, I like, as a receiver, I'm so stoked by the long list of names and the total at the end. I'm not looking at like, oh, Jeff only put $20. Like, no way. What a bitch on my end if I was to do that. That's hideous.
Yeah,
no, like $5, whatever you can spare, it all helps.
For sure. I'm with you on that. Don't pin me for a 20 guy. I'm going 200. You got 200 for me. So don't pigeonhole me in there. 200. All right. Do you play poker? It's your hobby or work? And this is, again, she doesn't play. She has won a title, but ladies, the largest ever EPT women's event. So we can't say she doesn't not play, but
I
do play. But her
main once a month. I play cash games. When I'm at casinos, I'll sit down. I played a couple of satellites this week. I do play, but I'm not a player. Like, that's not how I make my income. In fact, I'm probably a losing player, and I donate to this game that I love. I'm very charitable.
There you go. I'm asking. We're gonna get the. I'm going to put the link up in the chat right now for that. But we also, like she said, it's pinned on her Twitter profile, and it is you can find that there. But we will put it up here afterward in the video. So guys, someone asking, put a link up. We will do that. What's going on, Timber Dogs 19? Good to see you guys. I do see you in the chat. And again, this will be up on a recorded video on YouTube. You can watch later, but it's also going to be on iTunes, Spotify. All the different outlets, we'll have the links for that so you guys can listen on later. But appreciate everyone being here, and we are going through the questions on Twitter. Is a $55 giveaway eligible. If you ask a question to Lynn right now, follow the instructions, you will have a chance for that giveaway. Let's keep it going here. What life lessons, positive or negative, did you learn from poker players?
Oh, I've learned a lot of positive ones. Like, there's so much trust in this industry. There's so much free-flowing exchange and trust, of money, and people back each other. They swap each other. And it's been really beautiful to see this sort of like non-attachment to the risk, to the fear of like losing money. And we all kind of grow up with such a severe attachment to money. And I've just learned a really nice free-flowing allowance of rather than attaching so severely to cash, like the way that the rest of the world does. Poker just really allows you to detach in a way, and just to trust others. What other industry just hands over $10,000 in cash with no receipt and just trusts that person's going to like be honorable and pay it back? Or, it's pretty amazing. It's very rare.
It's very different. It is. It's that people are very trusting. You're right. They're very open and willing to help. And I actually have interesting stuff that reminds me, because my dad makes notes for every guest and kind of goes through whether he finds it offline or, bits and bobs. And I just have to confirm it, because this is like not something I've heard you say or not, but this is what a note was. It says her view. So your view about money is quite inspiring. This has been written. To her, money is energy exchange. The more I flow freely with it, the more it flows freely with me. Is that a quote you've said somewhere, or that's your belief? Where's that from?
Yeah, that was a long time ago. I've had a few challenges since then, which has led me to hold on a little bit more, but I kind of,
Yeah. All right. Well, okay. So that was that.
It's true. It is true, though. Like, and I do agree, because I did, when I think about it, the times that I had the challenges is when I started to grip again and fear, and fear the incoming or outgoing situation. And it is true. It's an energy exchange for sure. I mean, everything's energy.
I very much aligned with that thought, and it is true. I think that's that's one of those things. I mean, it's like if you do it for the right reasons, and it's not like, oh, I'm going to charitably donate to this, and I'm supposed to like looking to like, oh, this is going to be good karma for me, whatever. But I think that exactly like the more you come from that space of just doing well and right by others and trying to do your best, I think that, you know, good things tend to happen. And yeah, I'm a big believer in energy as well. So that's cool to hear you say it. Also that you are you're a global ambassador for Wildlife Warriors and an ambassador for the Wpt Foundation, which is regular hosting events such as the TGR Foundation's Children's Hospital of Philadelphia and Education Reform Now. Those are all still active and current. Those are things you work with.
Yeah, and Wildlife Warriors is the beneficiary of this Facebook fundraiser. And then TGR Foundation is Tiger Woods Foundation, and WPT Foundation, we have our event Tiger Jam every year in Vegas. Are you coming to that? It's in April. It's a good one.
I think so. I have yes, I would love to. I actually have not been to that. I think I've had a conflict before, and I've heard how great and fun that is. Obviously, it's cool, Tiger Woods and all
it's
the
epic.
It's
Let
actually
me tell you, it is priceless. Like it's so cool.
It must have. What was it? Was it right after he won the Masters last year, yes, or before? Oh, so he must. I mean, that must have been extra. Like, must have been insane busy, and the energy must have been off the charts, right? Because like Tiger Woods is Tiger Woods, legend, went through a kind of wild patch for a few years. So I can imagine like that the event like a year or two maybe after, you know, when things kind of got crazy, and then like now it's just been like, you know, just to see that come back and just the energy.
He was so happy. It was he was so happy. And it's such a, like, he does a full clinic, like up close and personal. We're out at the golf course, and he's just right there in front of you, just like a few feet away, giving us a lesson for like 2 hours. And, you know, he was just in such great spirits and cracking jokes, and he's just amazing. Like the way he'll just go, okay, I'm just going to hit this ball, and it's going to go around that fourth tree down there on the right, and then come around here on the left, and boom, into that green over there. Like, and he does it. It's bananas. It's bananas how impressive he is. And then like how it's just such a unique experience. You get to do that during the day, then at night play poker with him, and then you have another golf session the next day, and then there's a concert the next night. It's just a really epic weekend. It's so cool. Tiger Jam.
It's I will look at the date. Like you said, it's in April. I don't know if it's even set yet.
April 24th is the poker night. So it's that weekend in Vegas at MGM.
Okay. I'm going to put that down. It sounds like it's got to happen. Put up a link. So we do have that. Vadran just put the link there. Again, it's on Lynn's Twitter pinned. What's your honest opinion of poker? What's your overall, like, what, if you had someone ask you what you do, or tell me poker, someone you sit down to a dinner, tell them you're anchor for World Poker Tour, you've been in poker 10 plus years. When they say, what do you think of poker? Give me what you say about it. Like poker as poker. What is poker?
I love it. I mean, anything that makes you think differently, you know, it challenges your brain. It's a great exercise to keep your brain young and vibrant. So that in itself is brilliant. But what other game that's played on a professional level can anyone sit down with other professionals? Like you can't play golf like an actual game, a professional game in the Masters or something with Tiger Woods. You can't go and play the Australian Open with Roger Federer, but you can sit down and play at the same table as Phil Ivey. Like it's so unique that you can really get up, you know, actually play with the best of the best, and it's an equal playing field. You all start with the same amount of chips in a tournament, and you can play for that same title, and that's just so unique. And and what other game as well just brings so many different characters from different parts of society together, where you have a mum of 4 kids with some 21-year-old who's never had a job, and then some billionaire, you know, business mogul, and then some other bloke. Like it's just such a cool combo of people playing the same game, and it just really unites people in a unique way.
I agree with it really is special. And I think the more people, I mean, I have friends. I remember a good friend, I don't know, 6-7 years in Baltimore messaged me. He lives now in Florida. And he's like, he just started messaging me like, hey, I want to learn. What do I do to get better? I love this. This is crazy. And like, it's just funny because I remember being with him and like hanging out with like a group, and then it'd be kind of like people looking at it like, oh, you're playing poker, or like playing online. It's like kind of like almost like, oh, you're silly, or like it's like poker's for kids, or it's not real. And now it's like seeing him like immersed in it and like obsessed and like so into it. It's like kind of funny, right? Because it's like you don't know what you don't know. So it's like you look at something or golf or things, it's like it's so hard, or I would never want to start it, or I just don't know, or it's like silly, right? Like but when you start, like Tiger Woods, for example, when you realize what it's like to be the best or to be so good at something, and realize how much studying, how much practice it takes to really get into something, and when you can appreciate a game has these type of levels and in-depth situations, I think you appreciate it more. So it's cool to see that when someone like kind of looks at it like something, and then they kind of get into it, and then they're like sort of obsessed, right? And it's a game that applies to life, and it's great.
Yeah.
What do you think about it difficult for an environment? Was it difficult for you to get involved in poker as a woman? Did you feel any kind of because it is a predominantly male industry?
Yeah. So I didn't come into it as a player, so I'm coming from a different angle. But I haven't, I get this question a lot, like, what's it like being a woman in poker? And I haven't really had, like, I don't know, maybe it's just because it's been so long and I'm just so used to it. And I've always worked in sporting environments, having been at the Grand Prix and at the tennis. And I think I'm just used to male dominated industries, and it's not something that's just like jarring in my face. But when I really do think about it, I think it's obviously shifting. There's a lot more women coming into the game. I didn't have a difficulty coming into it, but, it's just, I just sort of focus on how I think it's badass that I'm a minority in an industry that I've chosen to be in, and I'm breaking a mold, and cool. I'm just going to keep doing that. I'm not going to focus on me being any different to anyone else around me.
Yeah, I agree with that. What is the most difficult situation you've remembered at a poker table? That you've either played or witnessed or heard? Is there something that was just like kind of awkward or crazy that happened? Or uncomfortable or something weird, or like someone got I don't know, weird thing that stood out, like, wow, like that was kind of crazy.
The only thing that's coming to my mind at the moment is that there was an occasion when I was playing in Europe, and a guy was being really rude to the dealer, and the dealer was being very professional and, not responding, but he was just being obnoxious. And I spoke up and told my mind and told him not to speak to him like that, and kind of got into a bit of an ugly argument in defense of the dealer. And I think that if anyone does ever witness something like that happening, as players, we're not there representing the casino, we're there independently. And if you ever do notice someone being mistreated, if it's another player at the table, or if it's staff, then it's you should take the responsibility to perhaps defend those who can't defend themselves. But thankfully that doesn't happen much, but that's just the only difficult, ugly situation that I've had.
Not many a times where there's something like that, for sure. Most memorable moment at the WPT for you?
St. Kitts in Alpha 8 was so epic. You were playing this. You guys fired up a charity event. Do you remember there was the main event happening? It was playing down to the final table. We're all on this beautiful Caribbean island. And what else are you going to do? So you guys fire up this little charity buy-in tournament. It's a $25,000 buy-in tournament. Two memorable things came out of this. I was on the sidelines. We're waiting for this final table. Not much was going on. And so Bill Perkins let me play. He's like, Lynn, I'll buy you into this charity event, a $25,000 buy-in. So I've never sat at a poker table with such an expensive buy-in before. So that was epic. So I got to play with you all in the event. But what was so cool is that from that event, $60,000, I think, was raised. Was it $60,000? And I got to go and visit. I got to go and visit the orphanage in St. Kitts that money was donated to, and meet all of the orphans that were in this house and living there. And they were the most beautiful children. And knowing that poker players, we were able to raise this money together and make a difference to these children's lives, and getting to see that firsthand, how that happened. That is something that I'll always
I remember that. I think it was 20,000, and that's right. I remember playing that, unfortunately, out of the other tournament, but like, what a great thing out of nowhere, that just like a little bit of an idea came that from a place like St. Kitts, and that kind of money got, what a difference for that organization and what that can do. So that, it's pretty powerful. And then you got to actually not just, it's one thing to give the money and be a part of it. That's awesome, because I didn't go over there and get to see it. So that's Very cool. And to play, right? It's exciting. You're playing, like, it's a charity, but there was some money for the winner too, and it was a big you played a 20K buy-in, so that's pretty
I got
sweet.
to play for one orbit because then the final table happened to go in lightning speed, and I think someone busted like 2 people in one hand or something bananas, and then I had to get called back to work, so I had to go.
Yeah,
So
but you were in there. You were in the mix. That's all that matters. You got to you say you played a 20K.
Yeah.
We talked about favorite player. Angel, we know is your guy. Do you agree that when you did success in the poker world, the discipline that it requires allows to have very good mindset about anything? I guess kind of a question on mindset. Do you sort of exude? You talk about positivity, energy, and all that. Do you feel like that plays an everyday role in the poker world, like the positive mindset and just in life? Like how would you describe that, like energetically or positively? How do you deal like day to day? That's just like you're a generally positive person. Do you meditate? Do you have any kind of routine things for energy or being upbeat, positive? Like what's your daily mantra?
Well, my mantra is life's good, and I like to keep reminding myself of that. It's my initials, LG, and I got given that nickname as a teenager, and it's always stuck. And I really do feel though that when I did adapt that nickname, it did change my life, and my life really did become pretty good because it became my brand. And this was back in the MySpace days, and I would then post things that was all about life's good, like photos that just resembled joy and happiness, and it just did change the way of viewing my life because I was suddenly looking for the good. And I think that we're pretty programmed to look for the negative, with news is always in our face. It's quite negative because that's what makes us click on headlines. And you would just have so much negativity around us that it's just a natural thing that when it's not natural. We've just learned to look at the negative. And I think we just need to relearn how to keep focusing on the positive. And I think, poker is pretty epic in the way that you have just these immediate lessons that most people probably wouldn't have within 1 year of their life. We have in maybe 1 hour at a poker table, where you are faced with challenges and you're faced with decisions, and you have to trust in yourself. You have to trust your gut. You have to trust facts. You have to, just constantly weigh up all of these factors that honestly don't happen to the average person on a regular basis. And so, and then tying in having a positive outlook and having clean energy, or having just a really taking care of yourself, I guess, mentally, and seeing the reflection of that in your results and seeing that immediate impact is really unique and valuable for the poker world, for sure, to bring into general life.
Yes, I agree with that completely. And a big that's how I try to live as well. We had a lot of similar questions, but this one's interesting about movies. You're in the acting world now? You've got some gigs. You're sweating some other stuff. Best movie in your opinion? Is there anyone that you just like love, or you've watched 100 times? Like any movie that stands out?
It's so funny that you asked this because we just watched the making of it the other night, Dirty Dancing. I watched that movie every night of my life as a kid. I was just obsessed. I always wanted to be Baby, and it was that was the movie that made me. And there's a documentary now on Netflix called The Movies That Made Us, and it was about the making of Dirty Dancing, and we just watched it 2 nights ago, so it's very fresh in my mind.
Dirty Dancing. I don't think I've seen that. I mean, I maybe like as a kid or so. I'll watch it. I know. I mean, obviously I know that title. It's a classic. It's one of the. I actually can't remember. Some of those great movies too. It's like funny because if you take a movie you watched 10 years ago or so, it's like almost, even if it's like a major movie, you barely remember it's not like you remember scenes. Maybe you remember like the ending or something. But yeah, I'll have to check that out. We talked about goals, positivity. Favorite interview of all time? Is there anyone that was just like it, like you were doing for Poker News or World Poker Tour or something, and it just kind of got crazy, or just something that stands out as one that was like wow, like this went like for whatever reason? Is there anyone?
Yeah, you were a part of it. Again, at St. Kitts when I was interviewing Antonio Esfandiari, and Sorrel Mitzi came and pulled his pants off.
There you go. St. Kitts.
That will always be in my mind.
Yes, I remember that too. You did get him. How did you? That's right. That's true. Following. This gets a little not dark, but talking about, that it's a very serious thing that's happening in Australia. You have the fires, and in terms of like global warming or these type of things, again, not to go down a rabbit hole and go down this path, but about the environment problems of the world, is there anything that you, being part of this in Australia, that's a problem, like in terms of that? Do you have any overall thoughts on environmental stuff? We don't have to go deep here, just kind of like, do you think
look at you, you're so scared, you're like, oh god, let's not. No, but
so like could be like the cryptocurrency, people just go crazy and down a tangent. But where do you feel like?
I won't go down a rabbit hole, but I do definitely think that we need to make changes. It's the facts are there. It's terrifying how much we are just speeding stuff up at a terrifying scale. And there are changes that we can make that aren't too intense, like you said, reducing the amount of meat that you eat. It's I just think that's just the easiest, most immediate way that we can make a positive impact on the planet. People are just so detached from where it comes from. People aren't just out hunting with their gun and bringing in a cow, or whatever. It's the mass meat production industry is hideous, and it's one of the biggest, if not the biggest, influence on our environment. It's hideous. Google it if you want to learn more about it. I'm not going to go down that route, but it's disgusting, and I don't want to support that. It's awful.
I will say this is, to me, and I think this is something that I don't know. There seems to be a way in my head that it sort of seems similar to the donation stuff, where little bit counts, right? Like it's really, I think fundamentally that's where it has to come from, where everyone has to do a little bit. And it sounds so cheesy, but if everyone gave a little bit for like a cause that needs something, for example, if everyone ate one less thing of meat, or everyone picked up a piece, like that type of message, if somehow, with some really big, influencers, or if there's some kind of movement where consciously everyone was talking about it or doing it, you hear about these things once in a while, but it just does seem like there could be so much change done that could do so much good, everyone doing it very little. But it's just like, I don't know. You know what I'm saying? Like everyone just kind of because it's like, you can do it. You and I can do it. People watching can do it. Everyone could try to be their best, sort of. But like, if there was actually like a public service, like a message, like a propaganda for doing good or little change. I don't know. Like, just seems like there's a way to do a lot with everyone doing a very little. But it's I don't know. It just seems like overwhelming in a way. It just seems like so frustrating that these type of massive environmental issues and stuff are happening, and that it just seems like how it's presented is, it almost seems so overwhelming. It's just like so crazy, and like what do you do? It's just like, but really that's like where it needs to come from, is everyone doing individually their best, I think.
It's kind of like, how it's really overwhelming now that if you go to start watching a new TV show and you need to decide which one, and there's just so much choice now that you don't end up watching anything because you've just scrolled through thumbnails for an hour and then you run out of time. It's kind of like that. It's so overwhelming because there's so much information and there's so many things. But you're right. And there's movements like Meatless Monday and stuff like that, just about making small changes. You don't have to go so extreme to go vegan, even though that will definitely help. But no, you don't have to do that. It's just one meal at a time. Maybe skip the bacon on your breakfast and just go with a free-range egg, and, have your bacon tomorrow, just to try and like minimize a little bit. It just all helps. It all helps.
It really does. It's like something like Trump too in the news. It's like, it's hard to follow, right? There's so much information, there's so much stuff, and now it's like this whole fake news, or what's this, or you hear like, exactly, just so much going on where it's like, all right, like I don't even know, like I'm just like, this is wild. But do your best, try to make a small difference, a little bit goes a long way. So that kind of message, always good to try to get out there. Same question as always. We talked about women. This is someone writing this question about how do we get more women into poker? I feel like, I don't know if that's necessarily something. Personally, how my take is, I don't know if that's something like is a necessity, like, oh, let's like equal women in, but like, do you feel from your experience, and Christy Arnett, one of your best friends, who's very, active in poker, and I'm sure most of the women in poker, you've seen them, you've interviewed them. Do you feel like, what do you feel like would be a way that maybe could help to add some more? Not that we need it, but just to like your experience, what do you think holds back women from wanting to try or play poker?
I think that we just need to keep doing what we're doing. No change happens overnight. If you look at markets where poker is new, like in Asia, the ratio is much more balanced. The game has just traditionally been a man's game in the United States, and it's just is going to take time to shift that perception, and the way that what's happening now with so many epic female poker players rising to the top, and we're seeing more on TV, but not in a ladies' event. We're seeing women just smash guys at a table at a regular poker table. Then that's just what's going to slowly shift.
Right.
But we can't just do it overnight. And so I think that all
Right.
the efforts that are happening right now are perfect, and just, the women that we have right now, they are super talented, and we're seeing more of them in the spotlight, and that's just going to gradually create more of more. It's going to gradually encourage more women to play.
Yeah, and you see like Vanessa Selbst, who's now I think her and her girlfriend have a child, but she hasn't been playing. But she was like kind of over the last decade, probably the most fearless or great results. Now there's Kristen Bicknell. She was recently on my podcast. Very talented, very fearless.
We had a televised cash game, and she completely annihilated all the guys. She was the only girl at the table, and she won that game. And that was televised over, I think, 4 or 5 episodes. So it's like more of that. Yeah. And then that's amazing to have role models like her.
For sure. I think that's the right answer. Bet we did this: movie, sports, life lessons, goals. We've covered a lot of these. Do people call you out to look like Kylie, the Aussie actress singer?
I've never gotten Kylie Minogue, if that's who he's referring to, and that's an amazing compliment if that's who he meant. But I get Nicole Kidman and
that's definitely
Emma Stone. They're the two that I get the most.
Okay, so I don't even know who Kylie is, the Australian person, but so you don't see that, or you don't get that.
I don't get that. Kylie Minogue, she's amazing. She's our queen of pop, but no, Nicole Kidman, the red hair.
There it is. When you started reporting for Poker News, did you think you would still be working in the poker industry today? Is that something you thought this is like a couple-year gig, this will be fun, or did you imagine like, all right, this is where I'm going to be for a decade plus and keep doing new things and moving up and doing broadcasting? And how was that on your mind, or just kind of going with the flow?
I mean, really, that's such a far-fetched dream. How could I ever think that I'd be doing what I'm doing right now? Of course, like when I started, I would look up to that and think like that would be an incredible dream come true. And so the fact that I have made that dream happen still just blows my mind. And it's a good lesson that I keep reminding myself, like with the acting, I'm just going to keep trusting. I just like to. My life has never continued on the route that I perceived. It's always been bigger. Lost you.
Yes. Sorry, that was how I wanted to say. Not right now. Absolutely.
I thought it was dad life kicking in.
No, my boy's not with me, and my wife, unfortunately, at this trip. But it's hard. Being away is not easy. It's crazy time. Starting to, I'm just worried he's gonna start like walking while I'm gone, because it's like he's starting to lift himself up, and it's. But no child here right now. So favorite moment, we covered this. Poker News, we covered that. Dream man. Someone asked to describe your dream man. So I guess she has a 9-year relationship. So I guess you could just Google Angel Guillen, right?
There you go. There's my dream man.
That'll save time instead of you breaking down all his entire everything. Like, there it is. So that's a question about, are you married? We get a bunch of those. Covered that. Has watching the best in the world improve your game? Like, do you feel that? So you do a broadcast and you're on there, I'm sure you check on it, you're looking to improve, or it's like playing, right? You want to also, there's things you can do, or in what you're doing, but do you actually watch like some of the full footage, or some of it? Like, are you watching some poker, and does that help you improve? Have you learned from watching?
Oh, of course. I mean, I haven't signed up to like strategy sites, or I've barely read books. Like pretty much everything that I've learned is from watching all of you guys playing over the years, and interviewing players, and hearing, hand histories being told, whether it's in interviews or Angel talking with his friends. Like, I'm just naturally picking up this information, and it's a slower way of learning, that I've been doing it a bit more passively than the usual person, but it's been a gift for sure.
Very cool. Someone here, let's read this. We'll take you over here. Someone says, so we covered that one. Luke Floss says, since you are a gorgeous female, how do you handle all the flirting that guys give you at the tables?
I just
Anyways,
flirt right back and then use it to my advantage and confuse them when we're in a hand.
just punish them. Just put them in yeah. They're not expecting it, and you give them a hope. You ever had a dangerous animal encounter in Australia?
Not dangerous. Oh, actually, yes. Actually, we have spiders. I'm not a big fan of spiders. And one time I was driving to work, and I used to have this little MX-5 convertible, 1990 MX-5. It sounded like a rusty lawnmower coming around the corner, but I loved it. And I was driving. It was rush hour traffic. I was in 5 lanes of traffic on this awful road, and I just suddenly look up, and there was this baby huntsman, but still it's pretty big. It's still like this big, crawling on the roof of my car. The roof was shut. And oh my God, I was on the one side of the road. I had to cross over 5 lanes of traffic. I nearly ran over a motorbike that was coming up the side just to get out there was a gas station, to get out of the car. And once I drove up on the gutter, like, I can't believe I didn't crash my car or hit that motorbike.
But it was not, so it was inside, or was it outside?
Inside my car. It was inside.
It was inside while you were driving, and you could see it on your roof.
Yes.
Oh, that's very scary. That is scary, because that's that, and more scary too, because like you said, the initial like scared reaction, but really the fact that you were driving on a highway and it could have maybe made a rash. I don't even know. That sounds bad. That's a poisonous, or it's like just a bad. And spiders.
No, they're actually harmless, but they're just big and intimidating and ugly.
That's what I'm saying. But that's even more scary, right? It's like that's the fact that like something like that could have caught like your reaction. I probably would have done the same. Yeah. Be very, you just doesn't. It's not. It's like seeing a snake or something. Even if it's it's just like scary. And then you're swerving over the highway. So all right, well, glad that
everyone would be like, who is this drunk woman?
Right. What's happening here? Okay, so there you go. So you did have a encounter. Do you have a favorite poker tournament? Is there one that you love, like the World Series main event? Obviously, all the World Poker Tour events, but is there any one stop or place or event? The Bellagio 10K. Is there one that you just like that just feels like really special to you each year?
The one that's really, really special was. It's cheesy that I'm going to say it, but WPT Australia, we just had it at the Star Gold Coast in September, and it was September and October, and it was just epic. It's a beautiful casino. It's a beautiful location on the Gold Coast, on the beach, and the turnout was insane. And it just felt so nice because after so long of being with the World Poker Tour, like 18 years, to finally hit Australia, it was just so rewarding to finally get here, because that's just the number one question that I always get asked and that I've always been asking: when are we getting to Australia? So that was really special to go there and to see that it was a huge success. Poker is really popular in Australia. So, we're nervous, obviously, because it's the first time we're testing something out, and the casino up there before this event only had I think 4 poker tables, and they went from 4 to 21, which was a big jump. And all of us weren't sure how it would be, and we didn't have enough tables. We had so many players, which was a great problem to have. So it's going to be even bigger this year.
That's cool. What was the buy-in on that? Was it a 3,500, or do you remember?
It was 20. That was 2,500, and we had like 10 events over to the 2 weeks. Yeah.
No, very, very cool. That's nice. I mean, that's nice, right? It all kind of comes together for you. It's Australia, your WPT, it comes there. It's fun. Have you ever had any when someone's knocked out of a tournament and you've done interviews? That's difficult as well, right? If someone bubbles like a big buy-in, or something that's sort of that you've been doing an interview where someone's been really upset or tilted, like, has that ever been? That's like an art in itself, right? To be able to ask the right questions. I know there's been some interviewers, even I remember like in the last year there was an incident. Someone in a Triton or stuff, different tours as well. Another high roll. I've heard of stuff where it can get a little uncomfortable, right? Because it's like, you got to remember, it's like a sport. It's like if you lose a Super Bowl, or you lose get knocked out of the playoffs and you pull over. Usually they ask the winning coach or the team, right? But if it's like you going over and grabbing someone, like when they just bubble, they just have something bad beat or something happens, and you got to talk to them. It's an art, if you will. So if you had any that didn't go well, or like were just like very intense. Do you remember anyone that kind of stood out as like, man, that was tough? Does anything resonate? Pretty much. You've always been a great bust out. You're always lovely. Like, or not that people aren't lovely, but
bust out interviews are rough. Like, what do you ask? You've just lost $100,000 or something, you know, especially because Alpha A was when I used to do every single bust out, you know, it'd be a field of 50 players. Each of them have lost $100,000 and I'm catching every single one of them out the door. That was hard.
Yeah, that's hard, right? I remember I stone bubbled the Alpha 8 100K. It ended up being only like essentially a sit and go, but I think 3 cashed. I got 4th and I was like in second of 4. I was like 1 of 4, got 4th in a hand. And I just remember that like specifically. And I think he was there and like, you know, it's longest flight in the world, Atlanta to Johannesburg at the time, come over there, stone bubble, literally the bottom low of like moments or memories that I have. And it's like, and then just like, you just get put on like, hey, everything good? Like, how you feeling? And they're just like, all right.
Well,
like,
I will never ask. You never ask how you're feeling.
That's not the question, but it's like, like the, you know, there, you're supposed to smile and be like, yeah, it's fine. But you really like, you know, come on. But yeah, it's like, that's what it is.
But that's what the art is, right? And it's hard. Like our job is to make it look easy, and it's not. And especially in those situations, and it's not to go up smiley when someone has just bubbled and it's a sticky situation. Like it's about being empathetic and sympathetic and being supportive because they're facing your big bright light and camera, and you're the first person that they're talking to after that moment, and it's rough. It's really awkward. And there have been some occasions where I've made a call and going, we're not going to talk to that person. Like I can tell they're not going to, like, it's just disrespectful to even try. But in the way of they're just too emotional, and that would just suck.
And that's tough too, because, you know, that's like that's what you're saying with producing an art form, because not that the producers or the show wants to show or highlight someone's disappointment or upset, but really, I mean, it's like, you know, it's like a good drama or a good, you want a story, they want to convey that. So for you to have to make that call, you know, it's not easy for you either, right? Because like, you know that they want it, like they want that, they want to like that stuff that gets emotion out. You know, people like to see extremes. So, you know, if you're like, hey, look, we're not going to do it, they may be like, well, hey, come on, don't you think we try? And you're just like, no, you know, it's like you got to make calls like that. It's not easy, right? Because that is those are important.
And I have had to, you know, I remember there were some times too where, like, you know, because these are all different professions that are lining up here. And so, you know, people who are in the production side, like a lighting or the camera, and they want to get the frame right because that's what they used to. And they used to paid actors who are there ready. And in this environment, when someone who isn't used to it or something, they want to make sure they get their lighting right. It's like, no, we are catching them now. I don't care how the shot looks. If it's rough and raw and ready, we're going, because they just want to get out of here. And, you know, so it's like finding that balance of respecting everyone's position and what's going on, and just creating the best result for everyone, for the show and for the player and everyone involved.
Absolutely. Question here. What is the best avenue for getting started in a poker career off the tables, behind the scenes? So again, there's not just poker. There is a, you know, if you want to get into news, there's other opportunities, production, a ton of different ways you could be involved in poker. Any ideas or suggestions how someone could get into a poker type career?
Well, I mean, this day and age, we have a whole production studio in our pockets with our phones, and we can create so much content. And, you know, if it's behind the scenes that you want to be, whether it's like on a reporting scale, a production scale, just start making it. We have the ability now that we didn't have 10 years ago to just make stuff for free. You know, the apps that are on your phone, we can make some amazing stuff. Set up your accounts and don't be shy to put yourself out there. And yeah, it's going to be a slow grind. You know, you might be might feel like you're talking to no one. And you got, you know, a few people that are liking your posts, but consistency and quality, then you will be noticed. And it's just about then, because the poker world is a small world, you know, and once people start putting out some good content, it's like, oh, who's that person? What's that? You know, and then once the job will come up eventually, like in my situation, you know, I was reporting and making online videos for 4 years. So then when the job came up for World Poker Tour, my name was on the list, you know, and it came out, it seemed to me like it came out of nowhere, but they were watching what I was doing. And then when the opportunity became available, became available. So you just have to stay dedicated.
Yeah, luck is when preparation meets opportunity. I think that's a powerful thing, and it covers a lot of genres, areas, whatever you're doing. So I think that's great advice. Here's another one where we just, you know, this is the last one, but there's only one question that I would ask actually matters. Will you marry me? And we've already answered that is not a question that's being entertained. So we'll move on. I'm super scared of spiders.
Has it ever been entertained, Jeff? Has any proposals ever been successful on this show?
I haven't seen one, but we have to run it anyway. Okay. We got to do it. It's part of the thing. I'm super scared of spiders, and the thought of a huntsman spider, which I believe is one you referenced, gives me nightmares. You survive in Australia with the spider phobia. Do they show up in big cities too?
When you're in the city, like the downtown area, you're fine. They don't really show up. But growing up as a kid, because I grew up in out sort of on the edge of the city, and it went out into the more rural parts, like right behind my place. I did wake up quite often to a huntsman in my room somewhere. Like it was a part of my childhood, and I'd scream out to Dad to come and catch him. And we were always in a no-kill home. Like we don't kill animals at all, any insects or anything. So Dad would just put him in a glass and carry him outside. But I have a huge fear of them still, and I'm fine.
I must say, like that to me, because Arizona, I got one of my best friends lives there. Similar, like desert climate. Vegas also, but Arizona more so. I feel like in the U.S. is sort of the state that has like known for that, or snakes and spiders and all these things. Australia sounds like that as well in these areas you're mentioning. But I mean that to me seems like that would be super scary. Like even like going to sleep. Like if that's like really a thing where they're just like, it's like you're like in bed and you're like worried they're gonna like come. Is that like a thing? Is that like no? I mean, is that you see them in your house a lot? Like, cause like I've heard stats, and this is probably BS, but like something about like everyone swallows 7 spiders. That's like the average in your life, or some crazy thing while sleeping. But I don't know. Is that a problem legitimately where people like you wake up or you see them or they're crawling in your bed? Like, is that a thing or not really?
I did put on a dress the other day, and a spider crawled out onto my shoulder because he'd been hanging out in my dress. So it does happen. And I had been wearing the dress for a solid like 2-3 minutes. So, but no, you know what it's only recently that I realized as a child, because this was normal to me, I would never be able to, like when I would go to use the toilet, I had to lift up the seat and check behind the lid and check behind the underneath everywhere. I had to make sure there was no spiders before I sat down every single time, my entire childhood. And that was normal to me. Like I would not ever, that was just part of my routine of going into the bathroom, which now I don't do anymore. And it wasn't until I came home and I remembered.
You don't catch yourself in Vegas or Florida or places like
just looking around for spiders.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah. Wow. That's so it is.
You do check. You do check.
Yeah. All right, we're gonna take a few more. This is turned in. We had a little cut. We've done this. We're getting through a couple more questions. There's a lot of great questions. Now that WPT has been hosting your beloved Australia, what new location would you like to see at WPT? Is there any city that you'd be like, oh, this would be a good fit, or that you would love to see the World Poker Tour go to, or just selfishly you would love to go to, you haven't been, and maybe would be a good fit?
I mean, the one that I was craving so bad was Australia. So now that we've ticked that off, I'm just so happy. Maybe Antarctica, just so that we can tick off all of the continents. We need one in Antarctica. And then we've really done a World Poker Tour.
Wow, that's not a bad idea. So we covered this. When you start to play, we already did this. What is your favorite place to play? I think we've covered that. Would you have a casino? What's your favorite place if you're just going to go play a cash game for fun or something? Where do you like to go?
I mean, Playground is epic, right?
You did say that. You said Canada for the stop, so I guess that, Playground is.
It really is. It's such a cool, like they've just really got it figured out. Like the whole street light, the lighting system that they have at each of the tables, for a seat open and for cocktails and for the floor. Like it's just awesome. And it's just a beautiful room.
I mean, JK and Phil, those guys, they really thought of everything. Their mottos, for players, by players. I can't endorse that place enough. I love it, and I agree. I would say that's one thing I don't understand. Like that seems like maybe they have a patent, but why don't all rooms have that? It just seems so simple to put like a button on the light of a chair and you tap it, and instead of everyone yelling floor service, it's just like, all right, green is service, yellow's for the floor if there's an issue, whatever. So that seems like that would be the thing I would suggest to all poker rooms. That would be a great change. All right. Well, we have knocked out, I believe. Last question. Have you ever been to Serbia? This is a personal question.
I haven't.
Haven't been to Serbia. Neither have I. Interesting. So maybe that could be a stop. Sounds like a beautiful place. We have covered a lot of questions, Lynn. I know we took away your sunset. We caught a little bit of it. You didn't get to go out and enjoy it, or apologize for that. I know you changed dinner plans. We've been trying to do this. We got it done. This has been very, very informative and entertaining. I feel like I have a good idea about your career now and what's going on, and hopefully your being an actress continues to blossom. We are going to do a giveaway here, so I'm going to let me just go over here. We're going to grab this. I'm going to copy the link, and then we're going to go over here, and we are going to draw. Someone is going to win a $55 Party Poker ticket on your behalf and Party Poker's behalf. So you tell me when to draw it, and then we're going to round out this podcast. So you tell me when.
Okay. What do you mean? I just say
whatever you want. You could say when. Count it.
Go now.
Boom. That counts. $55 tweet is here, and Benju P10 is going to win it. And Benjamin Lloyd, I think he was live here as well. He's going to get that $55 ticket, and boom, there it is. An applause.
Congrats, Ben.
There you go. Okay, Lynn, is there anything else that you would like to touch on? I think we've covered a lot, and also we'll just show you again the link here. It's in the description. It is again going to be going for months. This is not just like all the fires, like it's still ongoing. There's a lot of damage, a lot of destruction that you can still help. This is not if you see this podcast even a week, 2 weeks, a month, it's going to still be helpful, as well as this is a Australian wildlife. This isn't just for catastrophic stuff, right? This is a foundation. They're constantly looking for support, right? It's not just, this is a bad, there's a terrible thing that's happened.
Steve
so this is something
Irwin opened this wildlife hospital in 2002. It has been open every single day, 24 hours a day since then. They work in animal conservation. They help so much of our wildlife. And they are just doing some epic work right now. These fires are going to continue for months. Just to put into perspective, the size of the land, it's kind of like a hectare, I think, is one like big sports field. This is over 6 million hectares, I think, are burning. So it's like over 6 million sporting fields are currently on fire, if I have my stats right. It's so big, and 1 billion animals. So we just need to help as many of these creatures as we can, and that's where all the money's going.
All right, well, guys and girls out there, please find it in your heart to take a look, check it out, read up on it. And again, Lynn has endorsed this. She knows it. She's been there. She's seen it.
Yes.
I'm making my $200 donation when we finish.
Thank you.
Again, Lynn, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for your evening over there in Australia, in Melbourne. We appreciate it, and best of luck with your acting with the World Poker Tour. I'll see you at a final table. I plan to be there, and we'll be on tour this year again. And thanks again so much. Say hi to Angel, and we'll chat soon. Thanks again.
Thanks, legend. Bye.
All right, thanks. All right, thank you, guys. Lynn Gilmartin in the house. She is a WPT anchor, actress, and all-around poker advocate. So again, check her out on all her socials, Instagram, Twitter. She has a Hen and Mob. She's won some stuff. Check that out as well. Facebook page, and please take a look at that Australian wildlife link to donate. So we'll thank her, and we'll see you guys on the next episode. Have a great day. We'll see you soon. Okay.